If you've ever felt stuck, like no matter how much you journal, no matter how much you try to manifest or heal, that nothing really changes, this video and my channel, the content that I create in general, is for you. I basically share all of the things that I wish someone had told me 5-10 years ago when I was going through just the hardest time of my life. My name is Natalia. I am a feminine embodiment and life coach. I am a mama to a beautiful little girl, and I am basically like the self-proclaimed queen of whole life rebrands, glow ups at this point. What I'm about to share with you today is the exact thing that flipped my entire life on its head, and I don't say that lightly. As someone who has struggled with everything from addiction to severe anxiety to insecure attachment, self-abandonment, you name it, my life was literally like if hell had a basement, that was my life. And I went from that to living a life that actually feels good when I get up in the morning. So if you just give me 15-20 minutes of your time, I will show you how to shift your identity so that you can finally become the woman that you keep trying to manifest. But before we get into the how, I want to get really fucking real with you, just in case you happen to think that she can do it but I can't. Because when I say there was a time in my life when I couldn't get through the day without pills, weed, and just complete fucking chaos, I actually mean it. I would wake up completely anxious. I would pop something just to numb out. Then I would basically just scroll social media and compare myself to every other girl who seemed to have it together at the time. So at the time, I was working in the legal industry. I was studying my law degree at uni, and look, to the people around me, they probably got the idea that I pretty much had it together, but that was just so far from what my reality really was. Underneath all of that, I was completely burnt out. I would chase promotions, validation like it was oxygen. I had this idea that when I would finally achieve X, that I would finally be good enough, that I would finally feel that missing piece of me and just like become the whole person that I always wanted to be. I used to absolutely dread the question, you know, when you're like at a job interview or something and someone asks you to tell them a little bit about yourself, because I had no idea where to start with that question. I just lived a complete lie. I mean, my life was this big mess of pretending to be this or that because someone else liked it or was doing it. I would chase titles and milestones because it would give me that external validation that I so deeply craved from myself. I kind of wish that I could go back in time and give myself a big hug, because I was just so hollow. I was performing someone else's version of success, and I was just so completely out of touch with who I really was. I felt like a blank canvas. I felt like I wasn't a real person. At around the age of 25, things got really bad. I ended up overdosing multiple times. I ended up in psych wards. I lost myself so completely that I didn't even recognize my own reflection. And then when I was 27, I fell pregnant with my daughter and I became a mum. And that moment changed everything. Holding my daughter for the first time, I basically just saw everything that I didn't want to pass down. The perfectionism, the proving, the exhaustion, just the constant self-abandonment that I would disguise as ambition. Like, not only did I not want her becoming like that, but I didn't want my child around someone like me. And to come to that realization, it really is like the universe just fucking wake up. Wake up, bitch. You know, for years, I had this idea that the mindset work was what it was going to take to get me where I needed to go. That if I actually committed hard enough, I would be able to change my life. I was just so sold on the fact that everything that I was going through was a willpower issue, that deep down there was something fundamentally wrong with me, and that maybe I didn't even want change. Because believe me, I went to therapy, I went to rehab, I tried the meditation, the journaling, but I mean, there was just always this bit within me. I don't know if I didn't believe that I could do it or what it was, but chasing it that way, it always meant that I would show up for 2 weeks, I would be motivated to change my life, and then after 2 weeks, I'd fall off the bandwagon and nothing. But with what I know now, I now know that missing piece was always identity, right? So you cannot manifest a new life with the same identity that you used to create your current one. And that was me. I was trying to step into a higher version of myself while still clinging to the identity of the anxious, overworked, validation-seeking version of myself. So while I was going to rehab, while I was trying to quit drugs, I was trying to change, but I never actually shifted who I believed I was at my core. That is why nothing stuck. And when I finally started focusing on my identity, that is when the game finally started changing for me. So when it comes to identity, the thing with it, right, is that your brain doesn't give a fuck about what's on your vision board. It doesn't give two fucks about who you think you want to be. All it knows is who you currently are, who you think you are, and that being this person up until this point has kept you alive. If you identify as the girl who always self-sabotages, always struggles with money, or always attracts unavailable men, that is exactly what your subconscious will continue to create for you. Your subconscious mind loves consistency more than it loves success. And given the choice, it will always continue to pick a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. Listen to that again. Your subconscious will always choose a familiar hell over an unfamiliar heaven. My life only started really changing when I reprogrammed my subconscious mind to believe that my current identity was that of my dream self. So when I started telling myself that I was the kind of woman who took care of her body, I was the kind of woman who was magnetic, I was the kind of woman who was actually safe to receive healthy love. And when I started actually going about every minute of every day as her, and I mean actually sticking to the boundaries that she would stick to, when I started doing her morning and evening routine, when I started dressing like her, when I started waking up at 5 a.m. to do my makeup because that is what she would do, when I started walking like her, talking like her, acting as her, that is when my life started changing so fucking fast. And that is because I wasn't just thinking differently for all of 5 minutes and then trying to do something that my old identity would perceive as unsafe. I was actually being different in every aspect of my life and teaching my brain that this now is my new normal. This is who I am. I am no longer someone who is trying to quit weed and pills. Instead, I was someone who didn't take drugs because I am not a drug user. I'm someone who goes to the gym 5 days a week. I am someone who does posture correction of a Saturday and feeds my body nothing but the best. That is who I am. So now, with that being said, I want to take you through how to actually shift your identity. Like, what are the practical steps here, right? Well, first and foremost, you need to get really fucking honest with yourself about your current identity. I want you to get out a journal or a notebook and write down the answers to these questions. Number 1, who am I right now? Number 2, how do I speak to myself? And number 3, how do I show up every day? Because the truth here is that you will not change what you are unwilling to face. Then I want you to ask yourself and write down the answer to, who do I actually want to be? What are her daily habits? How does she think? How does she move? How does she react or respond when she's under stress? And the gap between those two versions of yourself, that is your answer, and that right there is your work. Now we are going to go into using a visualization technique that I actually learned from Dr. Joe Dispenza. Every single morning and every single evening, I do this breathwork practice. I then go into a heart coherence state, and then I do a visualization meditation. During this time, I visualize myself as the woman I want to be, her confidence, her magnetism, what a day in her life entails. So while I do this, I use my 5 senses. So what is she smelling? What is she touching? What is she tasting? What is she hearing? And most importantly, what is she feeling? How is she feeling? And I plan on making a whole nother video on how to properly visualize and how to properly implement this technique. I also want to record that breath work, heart coherence, and visualization meditation practice for you. So hit subscribe, stick around, because I will be posting those very soon. But the reason this works so well is because your brain literally can't tell the difference between something that is real and something that is imagined. So when you are consistently feeling into that future version of you, not only is your brain and body starting to believe that it's already happening, but it is stored in your brain as your new normal. It's stored in your brain as safe, as your new standard. I mean, identity switching, especially at first, can really be like babysitting your brain until it learns what is now safe for it. So please, when you begin this work, check in with yourself throughout your day. Keep yourself accountable. Keep asking yourself, is this aligned with my higher self? Am I feeling the way she would feel? Am I implementing her boundaries? Am I sticking to her routines? Because identity doesn't shift in one big move either. It shifts with hundreds of micro decisions. Every single time you choose differently, every single time you speak differently, do your meditations, do your visualizations, do your journaling. Every time you move differently, you are sending that signal to your subconscious that you are no longer that old version of yourself. Your internal identity really does set the tone for absolutely everything, from your relationships to your business to your health, your money situation. They all calibrate to who you believe yourself to be. And that is why manifestation isn't really about getting anything. It's about becoming the version of you who already has it, and then the outer world shifts to meet you there. Once you anchor that, everything else starts chasing you. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take 1 week to committing to embodying her. Do your visualizations, do your meditations, journal, speak like her, move like her, set boundaries like her, treat yourself like her, embody her feelings fully, and watch how quickly your world will begin to mirror it back to you. When you change who you are, what you attract doesn't stand a chance. If you want to start this journey right now, go check out my free It Girl Rebrand podcast playlist. It's full of the tools that help me go from rock bottom to fully embodied. I will leave the link in the description box below. And if this video hits something within you, please subscribe, share it with a friend who needs to hear it. Follow me over on TikTok and Instagram. And please remember, the life that you want is not waiting for you to hustle harder. It's waiting for you to become her.